Hey everyone, a nerd named Mark here. It's time for episode 19 of Kamen Rider Geats. I okay. This episode was not the greatest. I'm just gonna flat out say it. Honestly, still getting used to the new pacing of the show post episode 16 with the reveal of it being a reality show has been tough because it 100% feels like a different show now to an extent. I shouldn't say 100%. But it drastically feels different to me. I enjoyed the first 16 episodes, and now I feel like with how the DGP is, some of the filming stuff, and it's like we're getting new information, but it kind of feels like a nothing burger. It kind of feels like okay, and then uh, so one of the things I do like is the whole producer interview confessional style reality show like you see on most reality shows, a lot of the MTV reality shows and this and that. And we get, Kawa having to defend himself as him being the disaster, and he's not. We get a recap that kind of makes it plausible that he is. Um, and even when the game's starting again and everything else, we see that the team has basically abandoned Kawa to finish the game. The only thing we got really is like the body language of some of the characters, like Neon. Everyone's like, okay, we're gonna win this, but Kawa, you stay here, and like she's just lingering and looks and kind of sigh. It's like she doesn't suspect because she knows Kawa, and that's something that's touched on later on in the episode. I will say, from a production standpoint, a lot of nice shots, seeing everyone pass the ball to each other, dodging Jamato, scoring. Uh, it seemed like it was going to be back and forth. Then we got our Space Jam style monsters where the Jamato are just dominating. And I was like, of course. And then it goes back to being very back and forth, obviously. We get Ace with a new form with his build construct, whatever it's called, where he uses the Gigant shooter finish, which gives him his normal Magnum 40 time weapon, and he shoots two bullets, splitting two of the balls. That okay, I wasn't gonna laugh. Like I had it written down in my notes. It was like splits the balls, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to say that without laughing. But it was a nice shot to see, and obviously scoring with both, bringing it up to a tie. And I'm like, a tie, is that allowed? So we're getting extra time, not regular overtime, not extra innings or anything, just extra time, which basically makes it sudden death, and I'm okay with that. Um, One of the things that the show is doing right now with the supporters, I wish there was a little more information on who they are, why we have supporters. Are they a part of the regular audience? Can anyone who's in the audience be a supporter? Because Kawa finally meets our frog statue, Kekura, which I made a tweet about. I am waiting, Premium Bandai, if there's a chance anyone at Bandai, anyone at all in the decision making for toys, I will buy a Premium Bandai Kekura statue. Obviously, I get it. Orange is not included; they are sold separately. But I would buy a Kekura statue. I'll put him right here. I have the space already. Just look. I'll move. I'll move all this other stuff. I'll put Kekura right here, and he can be right there, and he can just give me advice and send me boost buckles constantly, because that is something we found out, that basically this whole entire time, in all the way from when, like, what, episode 2, like, Kekura's been giving the boost buckle to KY every time, and I'm just like, okay. So back in those other reviews when I was like, man, he's really lucky, I don't get how it's the boost buckle again over and over again. And Kekura's actually angry at Keiwa's performance, and he says that Daichi could be the disaster, and tells him he needs to learn to doubt people, like to figure this out, because it's nice guy Keiwa. This is Kamen Rider Tycoon after all. That's the name of the show. It's not Geats, it's Tycoon. This is the Keiwa show, okay? Uh, and it just, the supporters is something I want more information about, and it's one of those things where the best part of this episode is most of the stuff involving Azuma, because we see Azuma walking, and Ace sees him. And I'm just like, I didn't think we were going to have an interaction between these two this early on in the show. I did not. And I keep looking at this camera because the light is on it, but I'm not recording from it. And it's throwing me off. But I did not think we were going to get Ozma and Ace interacting this soon. Ace like, hey, I brought snacks. And, then this conversation between the two, for like, you think it would be more impactful. You think there'd be more to it, but there really wasn't. This conversation didn't add any new information as to why Ozma's alive or what the Jamato are, which we get into later on in the episode at least. But it made more... This whole thing was used more to make it so Ace believes Kawa. So that's really what this scene was for. Not to add any more real depth to the story, because the only thing Ozma really added to it was saying he won't be controlled by the Jamato. Which obviously sounds like him, because Ace was like, hey, let's get you back in the game. You can, get some glue, fix up that AE core. Let's go. And he's like, no, I'm going to have the power to destroy Kamen Rider. Hold up his Jamato buckle. And that's kind of it. And I'm like, man, like, everything that was in part of this episode was basically being used to push the doubt away from Kawa's name. Because even, Sei and Neon, they're sitting around talking, and Neon even says, like, she has her doubts that Kawa is this traitor, and says that he's a kind person. He's maybe even too kind. And if he thinks the Jamato are previously, like, the previous contestants, then he would actually protect them. And that, because they're going over why, Kawa attacked Daichi. And I'm like, I was like, I get it. But, like, at the same time, I'm just like, man, like, this is kind of such a weird pace. Because I get we need more character development. We need more dialogue. It's not always going to be action sequences every episode, which I'm not saying. The action that was shown in this episode was fine, except for some few things that I'm going to touch on in a few minutes. But, like, I feel like the narrative isn't being really pushed too much, because we're getting little bite-sized stuff that could pan out later on, but isn't. Example, Sumeri has a conversation with, Shirami. And she even says viewership numbers are rising. They're going up. It's like, it's good. Like, we're hitting, like, we're getting peak viewership. The analytics are great. Retention rate, good. And, Gori says, Jeremy even says, of course, Gori's way of doing things were too old-fashioned. And that the audience, they crave the thrills and the drama. And that's what he's giving them. And I'm like, okay, so the Game Master isn't just a Game Master. Think of it as more from Dungeons and Dragons terms. Not going to touch on anything currently going on with Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to leave that somewhere else. But the Game Master is basically the Dungeon Master, the DM, so to speak. But that's another thing. Like, I want to know more, and I feel like the only way we're going to get more information on how the Game Master stuff works is if Ace becomes a Game Master, which is weird. So we get Ace coming back in the lounge. Kawa can't sleep. He offers him a late night snack, and I'm like, ooh, Ace just coming through with snacks today. He gave Ozma some rice balls and some drinks. Now his snack for Kawa is a steak, and Kawa even points out this might not count as a snack. Obviously, steak is always a snack. Okay, you always need protein in your system. You're competing. You want to get stronger. You want to build muscle up. Guess what? Increase your protein macros. Okay, just what's a 16-ounce steak gonna do? Not gonna hurt you. It's protein. It's always good for you. So Kawa, so Ace does he met Buffa, and Kawa is shocked, and after all this, Ace even mentions Kawa needs to win and get his wish granted, and Kawa's even like, so you trust me, and if you, and Ace even says, if you want trust, you have to earn it. And then we kind of see everyone else like kind of awake. Daichi obviously overheard it, and I'm like, okay, interesting enough. So yes, the whole Buffa thing was used to push forward the narrative that Kay was telling the truth, so the doubt against him could be removed. One of the things that really intrigued me was the Ozma stuff. Like I said, most of the Ozma stuff is the most intriguing things we're getting in the show, and I wish there was more of it, but we are getting it in pieces, and I'm okay to an extent with how it's being told, but I feel like it's going at a pace where we're just gonna get information dumped like crazy for the Jamato and Azuma stuff. Like it may just be like one whole like scene that's multiple minutes long where it's just like here's a bunch of information instead of spreading it out and building up to it. And that's my fear that that's gonna happen. But he's in a back alley. He's falling over, and Samas and Niram approach him, and he says, "Take him away as he's dead. We must make sure that stays a reality." And I'm like, ooh. I was like, what? What about Azuma not dying is such a big deal and such a problem? Because once again, my theory this whole entire time for the last 18 episodes has been that Jamato are just the previous writers brought back to life, which I will get to and admit that I was wrong because I still wish it was. So now that we're back and they're playing their game and this and that, obviously we're playing keep away from Keiwa. Daichi defeats some Jamatos that had the ball, and he goes to pick it up, and Keiwa picks it up. He's even says, "Give me the ball," and he's like, "What? You're gonna betray me again?" And Keiwa just starts thinking of the children. He does it for the kids, and he says, "I'm gonna protect them and win." And then Ace shows up, and he's like, and we see the Jamato turn into the Shiroi humanoid forms, and he even says these are not the previous defeated participants, so they are not reincarnated. We get a flash of the ID cores. It basically use the seeds to grow the Jamato on the tree. Basically, they're fertilizer for these trees, and that they aren't being brought back to life. It's basically that they are mimicking humans. So yes, I was wrong. They aren't being brought back to life. And so basically, Ace confronts Daichi, saying, he tried to deceive Keiwa, telling him lies that you can make him look like the disaster and that he was an ally with the Jamato. And Ace says, I'll protect the building so Keiwa can go score. And, Nago also watching on as Keiwa's, got the ball, this, that. Remember, he's in entry form this whole entire time. So the whole time I'm like, where's the twin command buckle? Where's that at? Like, doesn't he still have it? So Nago's watching on. She even says she trusts him. Lopo's character. I'm gonna touch on that after. So Lopo does give Keiwa the ninja buckle. We go full ninja tycoon. I don't know what the deal is with buildings in this, but I don't know if they're trying to be like, here's Keiwa backing on. Let's reintroduce you to the good, like, superpower Keiwa, because we had some good shots. Don't get me wrong. He's running up the building, doing, avoiding the vines, and he's inside the building just like when he debuted as Ninja Tycoon Ninja, and parkour over the thing, over all the desks, and dodging the vines. I will say, visually appealing, even though we've seen it before, it still looks good. We even got a quick first-person view from his helmet. Appreciate that. That was actually really good. And we get this cool scene where Kay was about to go for a score, and the Jamato shows up and does like this hyper beam attack. And, Kay was taking the full blast. His armor's cracking. And then we got a broken helmet. And instantly I was like, I don't think we got a broken helmet in Revice. We got the impacted one for Evil. I definitely don't think we got one in Saber. So I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I want that as a SH figure art because it's so rare. And I do like broken helmets. And I was like, I want to add them to the collection. Especially because it's Tycoon. And I will put a broken helmet Tycoon figure with the blade set. I'm just saying I would. But I did like that so much. I'm a sucker for broken helmets. Any scene where there's rain or broken helmet or both combined, over for me. Okay, that's peak Kamen Rider. But Keiwa breaks through it with the ninja strike and scores the game-winning goal. And I was like, okay, now let's get the voting, because the voting is underway, and you get a chance to change your vote. Because mind you, oh wait, we're just gonna honk horns outside my apartment. Idiots. So we get, like I said, it was at the beginning of the episode and at the end of the last episode, 3 votes against Keiwa. Now it's time to change your vote or keep your vote. And we get the new vote. It's 4-1. Daichi now has 4 votes, and Keiwa has 1 vote. So Daichi is retired. And before that, obviously, everyone has to have a snarky comment. Daichi says that this is the end for him, but all of them will regret this as he is retired. And I'm like, okay, okay. I mean, similar to things from Japan. So I'm like, I wonder what he's up to. I feel like he's just fertilizer. Or no, he was retired. I think retired just you go back to your regular life. Never mind. So without obviously continuity, Azuma is dumped back into the forest on the ledge overlooking the destroyed city, and Samas asks Niram if this is what you really want, and his response is he's not supposed to be coming back to life. He says if this is the case, DGP will lack realism. And he also says he has high hopes for Azuma to be reincarnated as a Jamato and provide entertainment to our show. But the main key of this is he says the DGP will lack realism. So I'm like, do the contestants really die? Because we only see the ID cores being used as fertilizer and as seeds. This is yes, Akametal said he's never seen one come back to life. So I'm trying to figure out, it's like that this is where it comes into like a lot of stuff not being said. And it's kind of annoying. But at the end we see, Keiwa and Kakura talking, and he says Daichi wasn't the disaster, but it's one less contestant in there, and that the fans are now rooting for Keiwa. And we see an updated fan poll with Geats at 40%, Tycoon at 30%, Lopo at 20%, and Nago at 15%. And Kakura tells Keiwa it's time to stop being Mr. Nice Guy and start doubting others to figure out who this traitor is. And I was like, okay, we're going to get no more Mr. Nice Guy Keiwa. I'm okay with that. And we got a new DGP rule. If there are only 2 players remaining, including the Zastar, the Desi Star wins the game. I'm going to butcher what it's called every time. Yeah, so honestly, Lopo right now, with the lack of any character development and really lack of anything going on other than giving Keiwa the ninja buckle, I could see Lopo being the traitor, but at the same time, it's a new character. Why would you have a new character already be? And realistically, would the supporters know? Because even Gene said to Ace that, they're trying to figure out who it is, and it's not him. And Kakura is telling Keiwa that it's not him. But it's like, would the supporters know? Because that way, if we're already saying flat out it's not Ace and it's not freaking Keiwa, then it's like, well, that leads 2 other people. I was like, I don't like that sentence the way it was presented. So I don't know. We don't really fully know that stuff and how it works and what the supporters actually know and do. Because are they just regular viewers? I don't know. But I don't really, like I said earlier, I was going to have a new theory. I have no theories, actually. I don't. I'm going to wait another episode or 2 and figure out what, from a pacing standpoint, what I can figure out for a new theory. But subscribe to the channel, like the video. Like I said, not the best episode. The pacing just feels weird. I still am enjoying the show, though. It's not ruining the show for me. But I do need something from it soon to keep it going. Like the momentum. That being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.